So we do see a lot of reactive customers. It happens a lot. Everyone has seen a hacked site. And because of which they have had those sleepless nights. They have now how they attribute what they think about how sites got hacked is a completely different answer. But people have suffered. Almost every agency owner has seen the problem. And yeah, so that makes our job slightly easier, though at the same time, creating that distinction that how our product is significantly better than anything else out there, that's a challenge.
This episode is brought to you by Malcare at malcare.com. It's the most complete and comprehensive tool to secure and protect your high-performance WordPress website. If you're a WordPress consultant, don't leave the job of security, backup, and fixing the site when bad things happen up to your hosting provider. Trust me, you want Malcare on your side. They do it best without you even having to think about it. Sleep better at night knowing your WordPress websites, your clients' WordPress websites, are protected by Malcare. Malcare does it all, from protecting the site, backing up your files, creating staging sites, if you can believe it, and my favorite feature, the activity log. That's right, you'll know when your client or your marketing manager installed that pesky block plugin that took down the whole site. What are you waiting for? Check out malcare.com to get started for free. That's malcare.com, malcare.com. Thanks for supporting the show. When you hear the phrase high-performance WordPress websites, what examples come to mind? This is a phrase that I see a lot of companies using in their marketing, which includes Malcare, today's guest and sponsor of the show. Products and services targeting this type of buyer that might be managing a high-traffic site, well, like a Buzzfeed, or a large WooCommerce store like I can't really think of a big brand WooCommerce store at the moment. High traffic or highly functional equals high performance? Question mark. My vote goes to high value. I know this isn't appealing in the marketing world, but there are lots of website owners that value their site's speed and security that aren't pushing millions or even tens of thousands of page views a month. And that's why Akshat Shudhari and team are building Malcare and Blog Vault. The catch? Protecting valuable, high-performance WordPress websites so easily that you don't even have to think about it as the website owner. Enjoy the show today. Please share it on social media. And if you want to support my efforts here, consider buying me a virtual coffee or joining the membership at buymeacoffee.com/MattReport. Okay, on to the show with Akshat.
So I go by founder because I think we're still a very small company to take the mantle of CEO. I barely do the job of founder well enough.
When you started, were you the one coding everything, or did you start with a team?
So I started coding everything. So I still end up coding occasionally, which I should not do at all. But yes, I started as an engineer, and yeah, that's the origin.
What's the interaction with your team when they do catch you coding and they're like, hey, man, you shouldn't be doing this? Or do they ever turn to you and be like, no, go focus on the CEO stuff, or go focus on something? What's that interaction like? Do you have boundaries that you set for yourself and encourage your team to tell you when to stop?
So there are occasionally team members who come and do mention it. Unfortunately, I think I've also not done a great job of giving up all the technical responsibilities. The team is excellent and they can manage a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's just bad habit.
Yeah. As soon as they question you, you just fire them on the spot. You just get out. I'm the boss. I'm still coding this.
Honestly, and this is again an advice you hear so often, that you should give up all of these individual responsibilities early, and you do see the benefits of it when you give it up. Like whenever you are more focused on the business aspects of it, you see the impact of it also. But the discipline required to manage it, that's the trick. Like building that discipline, and it's easier said than done.
I should just preface, dear listener, Akshat is the gentleman who runs the team behind Malcare Blog Vault. We're going to hear about some other stuff that they're building as well. Backup security, high performance websites. This is the stuff that he focuses on, and I want to get to that in a moment. But one of the big discussions in the WordPress space these days, especially for, well, developers who have been around for forever, since the inception of WordPress, and new developers coming in, they feel that WordPress is changing pretty rapidly. I'm not a developer. I know it's a lot of JavaScript now. I know that you're not going to get by with just the basics of HTML and CSS any longer. How has the software evolved for you? Are you finding it to be just a different challenge, more challenging? Is there anything that you see with your developer hat on? You say, "Wow, WordPress is really moving in a different direction than say when you started out protecting and backing up WordPress websites."
So WordPress obviously has changed a lot. I'm sure you have also seen it over the past 10 years. And now we feel like really old people when we are discussing like WordPress circa 2010 and earlier versus what it is now. There's significant changes. And obviously there are also aspects of it which have not changed at all. It's still the soul of it is still the same of the WordPress software. Okay, so that's one aspect of it. There's a lot more JavaScript stuff going on for sure. So I would also like to preface that we at Blog, we barely any WordPress code. Most of the code we write are actually nothing related to WordPress. We and because our products are SaaS as you may call it, but the way we look at it is we create software which enables WordPress to perform better and do better things. So we end up barely writing WordPress software and we are not in the thick of it. So if you are, for example, building theme related, some anything which touches the front end, we would have stronger opinions. We don't do any of that. In fact, we almost are allergic to making any changes WordPress in the front end of WordPress or anything how WordPress finally renders. We are like that's not our strong spot. So we tend to focus more on the back end and the infrastructure layer.
Yeah. None of this stuff is impact well, I say this is such an easy phrase for me to say. None of these changes to how, I don't know, WordPress is now moving into full site editing and Gutenberg is getting better. Like none of that aside from maybe the vulnerabilities that come with that, none of that extra code is really changing how you operate the business, for lack of a better phrase. Like that's not changing the way you're coding. You're not keeping up with maybe what full site editing is doing because it doesn't impact the front end of your stuff specifically.
The kind of software we are focusing on, it doesn't impact us very much. And other the soul of our company also is slightly. That's why it's slightly different. We 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 are unlike most WordPress companies in that sense.
Obviously I talk to a lot of WordPress companies, product companies, service companies, freelancers, and the service companies, at least here in the US, like the agencies, are certainly finding a hard time keeping their employees these days. It seems like employees are at a premium. They have lots of opportunities. It's in their favor, right? If you're a great WordPress developer, you have lots of options, or so it seems. I'm not seeking a job, so I can't tell you. I just hear from what the agencies tell me. Say, man, it's tough to hold somebody and find somebody and get them into a role. Is this good or bad for you since you're not looking for the WordPress developer type? Maybe you don't fall victim to that, or is just finding a good developer tough for you?
So finding good engineering is really difficult anywhere today. In India, in Bangalore, there is a mad rush. I think the world has changed significantly in the past 2 years. I think the influx of money everywhere or capital has changed a lot of behavior. I don't know if it is going to sustain forever, but definitely we're not going to go back to the 2019 era. It's going to land somewhere else. In WordPress space, it's actually particularly interesting. And while we don't actively hire WordPress engineers specifically, I also think that because engineering there's a premium associated with engineering now, and engineers are more every salaries everything have gone up significantly. I think WordPress companies also need to evolve, even agencies. So earlier agencies could get by paying significantly lower salaries. I think they will start seeing impact of this inflation essentially at every level. And uh, yeah, things will need to change significantly because a typical WordPress engineer, even if they learn, for example, if they run React and React developers are in huge, yeah, there's a huge need for React developers. So if they pick up those skills and WordPress engineers are smart enough, then they will get a whole lot of other opportunities which pay significantly more. And the other thing that happens in WordPress, and which I'm sure you must have seen, is WordPress is one of the people who really pioneered remote working. So now, when a WordPress engineer who knows React or other skills, JavaScript well, they can work remotely, and everyone is hiring remotely. So they can get like much better salaries. And I'm sure agencies and even plugins and other software developers in WordPress space.
I'd say even all across the board, right? Even from your simple small boutique agency who's not doing anything like you deal with a lot of high performance, so you're dealing with agency, like large agencies, probably large tech companies, things like that. But I think it's going to start to impact even the lower end sub $20,000 websites, because it's going to be harder to find good help that's sticking around. I think. Do you think that's fair to say? Like the lower end might start to get impacted?
I think every level will get impacted. But also, what will happen is this might create an opportunity for WordPress to get disrupted because there's always a need for low end websites, and then maybe if development becomes more expensive, then more ready-made solutions might come in. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of flux. There's a lot of change that's going to happen. Maybe things would have this. Some of these changes would have happened it has definitely accelerated.
Do you think that full site editing will? I know it's very early, like quite literally. We are recording this, I think, like roughly a month after full site editing came to core, maybe not even. But do you think that full site editing and the direction of WordPress and where it's going will solve for the basic website? Or do you think it's really only going to continue to get more complicated for users?
So full site editing again. Let me. As I said earlier, we don't have a very strong opinion on it. Though it's, I don't think you're competing on the. I don't really think you're competing with a Wix with full site editing. That's not the. Maybe that's what you're trying to do, but that's a losing battle.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
not the way to compete with them.
Yeah. Do you have an idea on how to compete with them besides sending out free headphones?
Honestly, I think we should stick to our strengths. I think the community is very important. The plugins, and the ecosystem is very important. Overall, make it easier to build and maintain websites and run them and do a better job of them. So whoever makes it easier, yeah, keep focusing on making it easier. And I think we spoke about it earlier. There are challenges with WordPress. We need to, while we're investing in full site editing, and that's important. That might be important, but there are other aspects of it where we obviously have weaknesses. We need to keep investing in those aspects
Yeah.
and making sure that our customers, our users have the best experience possible.
I want to start to transition to talk about what you do with Malcare and Blog Vault. You've told me, hey, Matt, when you talk about my products, just say that it's the easiest way. Like, we don't want people to think about it. How did you come across that feeling for your product? Because a lot of security plugins that I see, they want all the bells and whistles. They want to show you graphs. They want to show you all these rules that you can set up and deny lists and allow lists and all of this stuff. They want to throw all of this stuff in your face, but you want to do it easier. How did you get to that?
All right, so there's actually we should take a step back and go back to this thing I said about making WordPress easier, because that's the only way, or make WordPress easier to use. That's the only way to continue expanding WordPress and having it grow and not making that experience better. And while a lot of us in the WordPress ecosystem, we are so into our websites, we are always tweaking it and doing things. As a business owner, as a website owner, you have your own lives to lead. You don't, frankly, your website is really important to you, but you don't really want to be playing around and messing around with it every day. And that's the origin for whatever we are doing. So anything we build, we keep in mind that the website owner actually should not be doing anything. The job of a website owner or a person maintaining it, even as an agency who does this for a living, they don't want to continuously maintain old websites and tweak around and deal with the problems every day. So we have to make that job easier. It is like when you run Gmail, it's not that you're fixing and editing and solving daily problems with the infrastructure. That's the same thing should apply to
Well, I could
websites
argue
also.
that point with Gmail. I feel like I'm always in there having to delete things and move spam around, but I feel you.
Deleting and move spam around, those are frankly, if you look at it in the bigger scheme of things, that's a very small, like,
Right.
we
Yeah.
have been almost trained into, if you remember pre-Gmail, the situation was completely different. So it's almost like we are spoiled
Yeah, we are.
by by the great software that Gmail is. And so again, so coming back to, so that's the whole essence, that why should you even have to configure anything? And does it mean that you need to configure? So that's step one. The second thing is, if you actually think about it deeply, you will realize that with a WordPress site, if you think about it enough, you'll realize that you should not be configuring anything. We have seen enough number of WordPress sites. It's not that WordPress sites differ so much across the spectrum. So Once you understand that, then you know that you can, by just having a good sense of what kind of that's required, what kind of security, you can auto configure everything.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of it is security companies also, they tend to do fear mongering. They want you to feel that, oh yes, I'm doing this 20 things, and I send you all sorts of alarms that okay, we blocked 100 problems. Then frankly, it's the nature of internet. If you have
Right.
anything publicly available on the internet, people will always try and look in. And if you have decent security, then that guy will just block out the security plugin, will take care of everything. You should
Mm.
not that then there's no need to create that fear.
Yeah.
And for a good experience, you should not be bombarded with these alarms and alerts. And that's the approach we have taken. We want you to, if at all, think about your website is when things really go wrong. Otherwise, the software should take care of it automatically.
At what point, and I know the marketing, when you take your developer hat on, you put your business marketing hat on, the answer is probably going to be, I want everybody to use Block Vault and Malcare or one or the other. But at what point does it make sense for an agency or a freelancer to start paying you for these licenses? Or maybe how do you see the best fit for an agency to communicate this to their clients? Because arguably I would say that if you can address security and get the freelancers to understand it, both understand what security means and how they should protect their WordPress website, but also financially, like when does it make sense to invest in this? What's the best step for you to say, here's when a website needs a proper Malcare solution and not your shared hosting, run of the mill clam AV running on a cron job, sending you emails every night? When should somebody invest in better security?
So you should always invest in better security. That's one. Now, whether you should pay for Malcare or not is a completely different thing. But definitely don't rely on your web hosting security. And I'm not even going to shit on the Clam AV. Even the best, today's best web hosting, the more expensive ones, do a very, very limited job, in my opinion, of securing your WordPress site. All right. So if you think about how WordPress sites get hacked, and then when you look at the best hosting companies, then you realize that while they do make an attempt, they only do so much. Okay. And if you are, and I'm not going to take any names, but if you are on even on the more
Darn it.
expensive hosting, if you're even on the more expensive hosting, please do not be under the impression that, oh, my website is secure now. In fact, their malware scanner, they use some version of Clam AV or equivalent, and which only catches a fraction of the malware. Okay. And this is again something which agencies and people don't, because there's so much noise in the security ecosystem, they don't understand this well enough. They
Mm.
think that all security is the same. And some of it is, I think we as Malcare should do better marketing around this. But also it's complex because how do you know? It's very difficult to judge these. A lot of these hosting companies focus on performance and those easier to showcase. Security is a much more complex metric. Having said that, now when do you need, or when does an agency, if you're an agency and if you have maintenance packages, then we believe you should always be investing in good security.
You
Because
just build
once you
build it
take
right into
ownership,
that pricing, right?
build it right into the pricing. And we think maintenance for every agency, they should be maintenance packages. It's the future. It's actually, I wouldn't even call it the future. It's the present, and it's also the past in many
Yeah,
ways.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that the
Uh,
obvious win there is you have the customer sticking around. And listen, I'll tell you, when I was running my agency day to day, and now this goes back quite a few years. I've been out of the agency game for 4 years, maybe even more at this point. Ran it for 10 years. And it wasn't until like year 5 until I actually started taking security seriously. And I used to be, if anyone can believe it, I don't even know if I've said this out loud on my podcast before. I used to be a systems administrator back in the early 2000s. I was running a cluster of Linux servers, and then I went to cPanel when cPanel was invented because I was like, wow, this is going to make my job so much easier. You have those few sleepless nights where the Linode server that you're running your customers on crashes and the CPU is going through the roof, and you got like your Linux Bible out at 2 a.m. trying to figure out how to kill processes. And that's what I literally did for years. And then it finally, once you go through it, you start to realize, oh yeah, this is why I need that. I would assume in your line of work, that's how you get a lot of customers, the ones who are now like reacting to a problem. or is it more proactive?
So we do see a lot of reactive customers. It happens a lot. Though I think in WordPress, the good thing is, or the bad thing, good thing in many ways for us, it makes our job easier of selling, is that almost every person has seen a hacked site, which is not a good reflection on WordPress, but that reality is everyone has seen a hacked site. And because of which they have had those sleepless nights. They have now how they attribute what they think about how sites got hacked is a completely different answer. But people have suffered. Almost every agency owner has seen the problem. And yeah, so that makes our job slightly easier, though at the same time, creating that distinction that how our product is significantly better than anything else out there, that's a challenge.
Yeah. How do you position it now? How do you tell people it's better? I'll let you
Uh,
give me the hard sell right here.
Honestly,
To
we do a shit job. We do a terrible job of it. Sometimes I'll tell you the thing that works for us is we get agency customers who are like, okay, fine, why don't you just put in 50 sites of yours on our platform? We'll scan it for you and we'll find at least one or two of them. Often it's more than that, but conservatively, I say we'll find one or two of them which will have malware on it which you didn't.
some
And
kind of
this
like
works
crypto
almost.
mining script.
I honestly, crypto mining scripts are, I think they are overrated. There are barely any crypto mining scripts. There are a lot of other better ways for hackers to basically exploit a web. Crypto mining scripts are, yeah, they sound smart. They sound smarter and they sound like, oh yes, but I don't see too many of those.
Yep.
But yeah, so once someone sets up like quite a few websites, then we find the malware, clean it with a click of a button, and that becomes a very easy sell for us then.
Yeah. I would imagine. So I think a lot of agency owners these days they understand the monthly maintenance fee. They understand how they can support their customers. I want to hear it from you. Do you see agency owners or agencies still running like their own whatever DigitalOcean server, Amazon EC2 instance, like hosting it themselves with whatever 50, 100, 1,000 customers, and they're doing all the infrastructure support themselves? Is that still a thing? Because that's pretty lucrative as an agency owner. That's what I did. And the agency still runs, and that's what they still do. They didn't offload it to big brand web hosting company. They did it themselves, and the customer paid them because the customer was going to call the agency anyway. They were never going to call
Exactly.
WP Engine or Kinsta or anything like Pagely. They were never going to call the hosting company. So the agency ran it themselves. Is that still true today from what you see? And do you have an approach to how you want to address that with agency owners and like what they should be doing to secure their site?
All right. So actually, this is again a whole spectrum. And Kinsta or a WP engine will want you to just offload everything to them, and there are agency owners who want to do that because at the end of it, these are like single person shops and they don't want to hold their customers hostage because they also want to lead actually a somewhat normal life. Because if you have 100
That's a
sites,
great way to say it.
because it can't be a perfectly normal life. Let's be clear. Like
Right.
as a small business owner, as an agency owner, signed up for a.
Yeah. If you're not in the agency space, that phrase of you want a normal life, you have no idea how much that hits because it's just not a normal life. Sorry, go ahead.
So that's yeah. So no, absolutely. And when we speak to our customers, we hear this often. So there are agency owners who will try and offload everything to Insta, and they're still available. And sometimes you also see agency owners who buy a bulk plan with a WP Engine, Insta, or any of the other Flywheel, etc., and then they basically charge their clients directly, and which is what we see more and more often happening. The reason why I personally, and this is again something I spoke to a few agency owners, and they told me, like, I was like, why the hell do you want to take up the hosting space? It's now this is so it's so commodity. While selling maintenance is important and lucrative, and it's something which every customer also should be doing because they need to run updates. It's a more complicated sell because how do you explain to a normal you are running a bakery, how do you sell them that okay, your website needs to be updated all that, you need to make sure it's secure and backups? Whereas if you bundle in hosting, then there's something very, very tangible, and
Yeah, everyone gets it.
and everyone gets it. There's some server, there is some real cost associated there, and then you can build the story from there. So then the recurring revenue story becomes much more complete.
Yeah.
So hosting, and what we have seen is while the more expensive web host would like you to pay them hundreds or thousands of dollars. Even agency owners, what they've done is they have realized that a lot of it has been commoditized. So they tend to use a lower cost, which does not have a huge markup over what a digital ocean or a node charges, and they still get a solution which is somewhat good enough. And then they bundle it with something like our product to make a complete solution.
I thought I knew what high performance WordPress website. In fact, I thought I was building high performance websites for my clients until I got to Pagely, and then I saw just this whole other spectrum of not only price point and agency fees and all this stuff, but just like the how many page views I've seen WordPress sites push, especially on the Pagely infrastructure. I've seen e-commerce stores at the Pagely level just, wow, this is a whole different level of high performance in WordPress. What are your conversations like around that phrase or that term, maybe with your customers? And how do you align that with your solution? Why is it not just the mom and pop shop? Why is it a high performance solution?
So high performance is again, there is the connotation of high performance is often associated with the likes of millions of views and stores, e-commerce stores, which are millions or 10 millions or tens of millions of dollars a year. And those things put a lot of load on the website or on the infrastructure. But if you ask me, today every business needs a high performance website, and high performance in every dimension. High performance not only in terms of the speed of the website, but high performance in terms of SEO. You need to have high performance SEO. You need to have high performance security. Your security cannot be lagging behind, right? Or your website itself, once you have a once you have a high performance website, which is key to your business, right? When a website becomes key to your business, and it's a significant driver of revenue or customers for you, then that's the website which we call a high performance business, a high performance website. Now, even if it's a mom and pop store, even that can be a high performance website, or the need for it to be a high performance website, because you might be getting traffic from Google to who finally visit your store. So
Yeah.
again, I'm being very general, and but that's my understanding of high performance website, and that's something which we like to solve for people for whom their website is key to their business. Now there are a lot of places where your website is important. You have put in a lot of blood and sweat onto it, but you don't want it. You don't want the best in class solution for everything. Right. No, so in those cases, that's the only thing where I would say you're not like a high performance, you're not a high performance website. But, and sometimes, and this distinction is, if you can make this distinction clearly, whether you really need the best in class solution or not, then you also know that you might be able to invest that money somewhere else. Because if it is not, if you have a simple website which gets a few visitors, or even a few thousand visitors a day, but you don't need to be the best in class. You can get by with pretty good without spending a lot of money on it, and maybe you can invest that money in other parts of your business. Whereas if you're running a website, for example, if you're running a website for our products, then you need your website to be the best in every dimension. Because
Yeah.
if it is not the best in every dimension, then we are losing money.
I'm looking at the pricing page of Malcare, and I'm seeing things like, and for the $149 a year, the plan that's right in the middle for one website, you have integrated staging site, activity logs, and visual regression testing, and daily automated backups. Like that alone, for that type of customer who starts to freak out that the world is ending because his website went down for 2 hours or an hour, it's $150 for the year. So like you can replace high performing or high performance with critical customers that you don't want to have you calling at 3 a.m, because that's the normal life we talked about as agency owners. That's what makes it super tough, is when you have customers who don't get it. They don't understand what's happening, and they're calling you, looking at you to solve a problem where you're like, I don't know why this site got hacked or why it went down.
So yeah, the plus pricing plan, the middle plan that you're seeing, that's the pricing plan which we think is the right pricing for almost any website, any high performance website, or any website where the person thinks it's important to their business, where we offer excellent security. So we'll do daily malware scan. We'll protect your website with an excellent, and then we offer backups. So backups, again, if you think about it, backups are the fail-safe when anything goes wrong. And we don't say that if you, yeah, they are the ones which will really save your vehicle when things really go bad. And then we also have an integrated activity log in there and visual regression. And I'll talk about both these things. So the activity log is very interesting, is especially as an agency owner. You said that you have client who goes in and messes around with the website, and every single agency owner, if you talk to them, they will tell you that this happens. And when things go wrong, they come and blame the clients will come and have be like, something went wrong with the website. What the hell did you do? And you're
Right.
like, I didn't. And so having an activity log which keeps a track of what is happening on the website and being like, okay, fine. At this time, see, you logged in there from this location and made this change helps you avoid difficult conversations. And then being able to show that, go back in the history and create like a staging site from the backup to show that okay, the website looked fine before this change is really, really powerful. If you're facing these issues, it becomes really easy. It's almost like it's like a time machine, and you can just go back in time without changing the main website. So you're not even playing Russian roulette with your website. So your live website is in its place, and quickly on our staging servers, you can create these restore a website from a snapshot, and it becomes really powerful. The
Created.
one last thing before,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so just one last thing is the visual regression testing is super interesting, and this we think is the first step towards what we want to do even more. Is again when you look at the Wix, remember the Wix ad about updates? They harp upon security, they harp upon updates, and there is some reality to that. That these are real problems, and that's every time we run an update on our own website, we are always worried that will it break the website. Ask my marketing team, and they're always worried. They're okay, fine. How often should we run updates? Will it break the website or not? And visual regression testing is one of those things where we let you create a staging site, run an update there, do a visual regression test on that update, and then once you're
Yeah.
happy, then you can run the update on the live site. And we
Yeah.
allow this entire thing to be like a single click.
And that's
So
something
if you
that
have
your web hosting company isn't doing. They might be giving you staging sites for like deployments and things like that, but it's not this solution to really make yourself feel comfortable. And again, this is where that high performance comes in. And when I was at Pagely, you'd have marketing teams running WordPress sites, and it was always this battle between the marketing team and the IT team or the infosec team. And it's like now every time we need to do something, we got to run it by infosec or the IT team, and everyone just was at odds with each other. A solution like this could kind of bridge that gap for some and to say, hey, look, we've got this integrated solution. It's super easy. Just look at this test here and then go ahead and update the website.
exactly, and the lot of web hosts do a lot of these things, but they do it for the common denominator. So they try and solve the problem in the most basic level. So they'll provide you backups, but backups which only provide you so much visibility. They will provide some security, but they cannot invest as much as we can invest when it comes to security. Same thing with staging, same thing with visual regression tests. So this integrated solution that we are creating helps you, especially if you're running a website which brings in hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars of revenue.
Awesome stuff. I'm going to close out by asking you one more product question. And this is sort of a call to action for this episode for you. But
Mhm.
what product do you want people to sign up for most? Blog Vault or Malcare?
So Malcare actually has a multi-headed dragon. So the base is the same, and they have like multiple heads. So they are. I think it's a good starting with Malcare is a good solution with the plus plan, with the middle plan. I think if you for most websites, that's the best solution out there. And if you're an agency, we also have bulk plans which are very, very reasonable, if I may say so. It comes up to like up to $2 a month per site, and it covers backup, security, staging, activity log, the whole thing. So it makes it, yeah. If you're an agency, then that's the best plan to sign up for.
Fantastic. And I save this to the end because we can edit this part out if you want. But I know you're working on you're working on a new product.
Yeah,
Something
no,
you
no.
want to hint
Again,
at?
this is
Anything
again.
we can hint at here?
No, no. Please don't edit this part out. We are more than happy to talk about
Okay.
it. Yes. So the last part we are working again, making sure that we have high performance website. We take care of great security, great backups, letting you update without worrying about your website. The final part is speed, and speed is becoming is a very it's a visible aspect of a website. security backups is very difficult to judge, but speed is much, much easier to judge. You can feel it yourself when you're visiting a website. And web hosting covers one aspect of speed, but when you talk about a WordPress website, there is so much more to making it. Today, it loads so much scripts, images, and everything else. And what has happened is there's a concoction of solution out there. You can get a caching plugin, you can get an image optimization plugin, you can get something like performance optimization where club JavaScript and offload JavaScript and do all of these things to make your website fast, but it's a lot and lot of effort. And even then, even the best of people really struggle at it. And they need to do it every 3 months, every month, every second month, because people are updating websites, installing new plugins, etc. So it's a difficult task. Now, when you scale it up to 100 websites or many websites, then it becomes even more difficult. Even ourselves at BlogVault, we have I think about 4 or 5 websites. Keeping it fast is a difficult job. So what we have done is we are like, okay, fine. How can we make a one-click solution to make your website like as fast as it can get? And that's something we have been working on. Hopefully, we have already actually started testing it out in an alpha thing. Hopefully, beta will start by end of month. And yeah, this is something we are really, really excited about. We want to bring it to all our customers and also actually offer hopefully be able to offer a free solution so that even a website without that kind of budget can still have an really, really fast website without having the technical understanding or without even spending the time and effort in having to deploy or build such a solution.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's another head to the dragon, right? It's coming soon.
Yeah, it's another head to the dragon, and then we'll be able to offer all of this together under one roof.
That sounds amazing. All the stuff you were telling me about it off air sounds really cool, and it's really exciting. My friend, this has been an amazing conversation. You've brought me back to my old days of agency life, for better or worse. Reliving those days, and my God, I would not do it again without using Malcare and BlogVault to get this stuff set up. If you're out there, listen, head on over to Akshat Said. At least check out Malcare, security, backups, the activity log. I'm just thinking about so many times the customer was blaming me for something, and it was them that they installed a different plugin in a different theme. That's just sounds amazing and worth all of it right there. Malcare.com. Where else do you want folks to go to say?
No, Malcare is good. Thank you so much. Malcare is a great place to start to learn about what we are about. And feel free to ping me at any time. So I'm on Twitter at hit me up, akshat@blogworld.net. That's my email ID. So yeah, happy to hear from anyone if you have any questions.
Awesome stuff. It's mattreport.com, mattreport.com/subscribe to join that mailing list. I'm emailing again. This is a whole other show, but I'm finally emailing again. mattreport.com/subscribe. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. This episode is brought to you by Malcare at Malcare.com. It's the most complete and comprehensive tool to secure and protect your high-performance WordPress website. If you're a WordPress consultant, don't leave the job of security, backup, and fixing the site when bad things happen up to your hosting provider. Trust me, you want Malcare on your side. They do it best without you even having to think about it. Sleep better at night knowing your WordPress websites, your clients' WordPress websites, are protected by Malcare. Malcare does it all, from protecting the site, backing up your files, creating staging sites, if you can believe it, and my favorite feature, the activity log. That's right, you'll know when your client or your marketing manager installed that pesky block plugin that took down the whole site. What are you waiting for? Check out Malcare.com to get started for free. That's Malcare.com, Malcare.com. Thanks for supporting the show.